Hi, this is Lydia Cutler, and today I have a doctor who is going to tell us so much. I don't know how to introduce him because he has so much knowledge. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Lydia. Hi, my name's Dr. Spencer Poole, and it's awesome to be here with you guys. Absolutely love sharing the knowledge that I have. It's not really knowledge that I have, it's just stuff that I've managed to gain from my mentor, Bob Proctor, and he managed to gain it from his mentor, Earl Nightingale, and he managed to gain it from his mentor, and so it goes back hundreds of years. So the knowledge really has been around for a very, very long time. All that we do is that we help people become aware of this knowledge. So before, I wasn't aware of the knowledge at all. I was working as a doctor. I was an emergency room doctor or an A&E doctor. And I've been really passionate about working as a doctor. But what I found was that as time was going and I was growing and I was changing, I had a family that was developing as well, then my priorities changed and I wanted to, spend more time with my family. I wanted more financial freedom. Didn't want to work, night shifts and day shifts and in between shifts and shifts on the weekends and shifts everywhere. And so I was in a position where I needed some change. And I think what a lot of people can relate to is, what did I do? I got more degrees, which didn't really help my results. I studied different things like internet marketing and property development, things like that. But in proportion to all the new things I was learning, my results weren't improving. They were improving a little bit, but not to the degree that I was wanting them to change because of all the effort that I had put in, right? So I put in a lot of effort, but my results just weren't changing. And that really was frustrating me. And then I was in that position for about 9 years. And then fortunately, as maybe what's happening with you with this interview right now, if you're watching wherever you're watching from, I came across this incredible guy called Bob Proctor. And when he spoke, I knew that what he was saying was the truth. We always say, when you hear the truth, you know it, right? Mm-hmm. And I was totally mesmerized by the guy. I wanted to know everything about him. And that is when my life started to change, because I then realized that it's all about our minds. We need to understand our minds. We need to be able to learn about our minds and how our minds work so that we can then improve our results. And that started me down this journey. And now I'm really happy to say that for the last 3 hours, I've been putting up the Christmas tree on a Saturday, whereas usually I would have been working in the hospital right now. For the first year ever, actually, we got a fake tree, and right. usually we get a natural tree, but we found that our house is really warm and the trees just don't last. So we got a fake tree, and I thought, it's so cool because I just plugged the tree together, right? And it's like a 9-foot tree, and it's pre-lit, so I don't have to worry about stringing the lights in. But what I didn't know is that you have to unbend each little branch, and there are hundreds of those branches. Anyway, so yes, so I now have the freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do it, which is spectacular. Yeah. So right. You had some questions.
Yes, of course I do. You've actually covered my first question. I was going to ask about how you met Bob Proctor.
Okay. Well, I didn't tell you the full story. So what happened was that, I was 9 years. I was very, very frustrated. And I just wasn't able to get the results that I wanted to get. And then, before that, what had happened was that I had actually found Bob Proctor in 2009 in a movie called The Secret. Some of you may have met him in The Secret, and I really resonated with him. And he was like this grandfather like I never had. And anyway, I loved what he said. I resonated with it, and I then did the work and did the work and did the work. And one of his books that is one of his favorite books is this book right here, which is a book called Think and Grow Rich. Right. And so I started reading Think and Grow Rich for about 2 years. And then we had the birth of our son, Cooper. So I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And thank you. Cooper was born in 2011. And what unfortunately happened was 18 days after he was born, he became very, very unwell. And we took him to the hospital, and we found out that he had heart failure. 18-day-old baby, heart failure. He had a viral infection of his heart that had destroyed his heart muscle. And basically, the doctors gave us 2 options. The first was a heart transplant, but 18-day-old babies, they don't get heart transplants. And the second one was death. And, we cried. I think it must have been for about 2 hours. We were obviously beside ourselves. And then I had an inspiration. And an inspiration is when you're in spirit, when you're connected. And Bob came into my mind. I don't know where he came from, right? But he came into my mind. And then the Think and Grow Rich book came into my mind. Mm-hmm. And in the second chapter on desire, he talks about how his son, the author Napoleon Hill, how his son was born without ears. And this was in the early 1900s. And the doctors then said, your child's never going to amount to anything. He's going to be a deaf mute. You might as well forget about him. And he refused to accept that reality. And what he did with his wife is that they believed that their son would hear. They would sing to him. They would visualize him hearing. They would speak to him. They would put their lips on his mastoid process. And he started to hear. Long story short, he could hear. He became a very successful person in his own right. And that story hit me. And I said to my family, we're not going to accept this reality. And we decided right there and then that he wouldn't die. That's the first step. And the second step is that he would get better. And yes, he was in intensive care. And yes, he had medical help, and he had medical help for a while. And he was on cardiac medication, 6 different cardiac medications, 6 times a day for years. But in 5 years, his heart had totally remodeled back to normal. And he was under the Evelina here in London, and they've never seen anything like that before. His heart remodeled totally back to normal. And so my mission was to work with Bob, but I didn't know how, right? We always get stuck on the how. How is this doctor in the UK going to work with this famous guy who lives in Canada, right? How's that ever going to happen? Well, we don't have to worry about the how. We have to worry about the what. What do you want? And what do you want? You just got to know what you want. And then this opportunity came to work with him. And I was like, that's it, I'm in. And jumped at the opportunity. It was an incredibly huge, significant financial investment that I had to make. I had to take out 2 credit cards to be able to pay for it, to be able to mentor under him. And I had to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I was committed, right? And that's then how I started to work with them. And yeah, now we get to, since COVID, obviously not, but every year, 2 to 3 times we would spend time together and work on mindset, which is great.
Wow. First of all, sorry about your son, and I'm glad that he's okay now.
Yeah, he's back to perfect shape. Perfect. Yeah, incredible.
Right, that's good. So, not many people know who Bob Proctor is. Can you please say what you or him do?
So Bob Proctor is one of the wisest people I know. He's 86 years old. He's been doing this for 60 years. Now, when I work as a doctor, I don't come across any doctors who are 86 and are still doing what they're doing and have been doing it for 60 years. I never come across it. Bob Proctor works with mindset. So this is how your mind controls what you think and what you do. And what you think and what you do controls the results that you get. And so we work with helping people to understand why they're not getting the results that they're getting, and then helping them to recondition their mind to be able to get the results that they want. We all have programs. I always use the analogy of an iPhone. We have programs in our iPhones. We call them apps. And let's say you get a document from someone. If you don't have an app to open that document, you can't open it. Well, it's the same with us. If we don't have a program or an app within us to generate certain results, we just can't do it. If we don't have an app within us that keeps us skinny and lean, well, then we're not going to be skinny and lean. If we don't have a program within us to not drink alcohol, this was a problem for me. For a while, I was drinking too much alcohol. I was getting beat up in the hospital, and I was tired and I was grumpy. And for me, it was like, end of the day, have alcohol. Well, I had the program in me of drinking alcohol. And I didn't have I don't need to drink alcohol program, right? So we have these programs within us that control what we think and what we do. And those programs are what we deal with. Bob is the absolute master at it. There is no one better than Bob, as far as I have ever found, who deals with programs, understanding the programs that we have, and then most importantly, helping us create new programs that allow us to do new things that get us the new results.
Right.
This is why so many people can relate to me when I was 9 years doing, being stuck in that same cycle over and over and over and over again. And even though I tried so hard to get out of that, I wasn't changing my programs. And because I wasn't changing my programs, the old programs were in control regardless of what I was doing. And so my results stayed the same.
Right.
And so we deal with the cause of your results. And the cause of your results, that's your mindset. That's the programs. And, as I said, I worked before with Anthony Robbins, Robin Sharma, a whole lot of incredible people, and I got reasonably good results. But with Bob Proctor, it's like a whole new era, a whole new area of mindset to do with these programs, and then reconditioning the programs, creating new programs to create new results.
Right. So I see you have a drawing at the back. What's that about?
Ah, that's a great one. That's a great question. So this actually here is a drawing of our mind. This is actually one that Bob did himself. And this is called Stick Person. And there's a whole lot of stuff here. You don't really need to worry about most of it. But what you do need to focus on is this circle over here is the head of the person, right? And then at the bottom, you've got the body with the arms and legs and the little neck connecting the two. Well, this is a picture of your mind. And obviously, it's not exactly what your mind is, but because most people don't have a picture of their mind, they don't actually understand how their mind works and how to work their mind. So I'll go through it a little bit with you, which is super fascinating. So we take the head as being the mind, and we make the head really big in Stick Person because actually the mind controls the body. Right. The body is the instrument of the mind. We don't say am hand, we say my hand. Well, whose hand is this? It's the spirit's hand. It's your spirit's hand. This body is a vehicle that our spirit is within, and that's why we say my hand, right? It's my spirit's hand. We don't say the body's hand or am hand, I am hand. No, it's my hand. Okay. So the body is the instrument of the mind, and the mind is divided into two, into the conscious mind at the top and the subconscious mind. Now, what's really interesting is that most people are only aware of the conscious mind, and they think that the conscious mind is the thing that actually gets their results. It's not true. If you see down here, there's a big R, that's your results. And what you get to find with Bob Proctor and with me in the work that we do is that actually it's your subconscious mind that controls what your body does, that gets you your results. The conscious mind, this is where we gather facts. So what I was doing was I kept putting more and more information into my conscious mind, right? Internet marketing, property development, all sorts of added things. But I didn't understand that this didn't make the results. So that's why a lot of people become frustrated because they learn all sorts of new things, but the results stay the same. That's because they're dealing with the wrong part of the mind. The part of the mind that gets the results is the subconscious mind. And you can see there's a big P over here. This is for those programs I was talking about, right? The fancy word for them is actually paradigms. They're called paradigms. They're programs that we have. And these programs that we have in our subconscious mind, they control what our body does, and what our body does gets us our results. So we need to change, we need to readdress the subconscious mind. We need to understand the subconscious mind. We need to be able to create new programs. When we create new programs, the body does new things and we get new results. This is how this works. It's incredibly powerful. So, that's again something that Bob does that a lot of people don't do is actually help people understand what is the mind. And the mind, we have a drawing now, because with a drawing, we can start to understand how it works. Before, I used to think my mind was my brain. Well, my brain doesn't help me understand my mind, right? The picture of a brain doesn't help me understand. Whereas if I have this picture and I see there's a conscious, the subconscious, the paradigm sits in the subconscious, it makes our body do things that gets us our results. There's more stuff to add in here that I'm not going to cover today, but there's more to this as well that makes you understand the mind really, really well. And when you understand the mind, it's like 1 + 1 = 2. You can start to use it to create results for yourself. Yeah.
Right. So I know that you help businesses, especially people in the businesses, to grow. How do you
Yeah.
do that? And especially for the fashion, art, and media industry, how can you
Yes.
help?
So I think it's a great question. And for me, again, it comes down to results. So for me, any company is made up of people, and the people will have their own programs. And so you have, let's say you have a company and there's 30 people there. Let's take 10 people that are like management, right? And each person in management will have his or her own program. Now you put these people together and you're going to try and create one result. Well, it's very difficult because they all have different programs.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's why it's so often that you find one or two people who are really good performers, and then there's a couple of people who just aren't, and you don't know what do most people do then. Then they pull those people in and they say to them, if you don't do this, then like I'm going to fire you. If you don't do this, then you're going to be in trouble. And if you don't do this, it's the last chance. And what they're doing when they're scolding the person or they're putting pressure on the person is that they're only dealing with this part of the person's mind.
Right.
And so that person still can't change. They haven't changed their programs, and the programs make them do the things that they've been doing always, that haven't been getting the results. And then the boss gets even more angry, but the person can't help it because they're just not programmed to do those new things. So what we do in businesses is that we start to get people to understand what are the paradigms that each of the individuals in the business have. And then what is the goal of the whole business? So what is the result that the business wants? And then what new programs can we install into all of the people so that they're all aligned to create that goal?
Right.
It's incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. And there's no scolding, there's no putting pressure on people. We actually work together to create, success within companies. And it's incredible. It's beautiful. And it's a nice way to do things. Whereas the old way is scolding people and pressurizing them and threatening them, hoping they're going to change. Well, they can't change. Oh, another thing that companies do, I love this. They send them on courses, right? Go on an extra management course, go on an extra this course or an extra that course. What are they dealing with? They're dealing with the conscious mind. The conscious mind doesn't create the results. It's the subconscious mind. And so you'll find companies are spending billions a year training their staff to be better, but they don't create better results because they're not training them in the right place. So that's what we do with businesses, with any industry. So it doesn't matter whether it's media, whether it's fashion, whether it's medical, whether it's legal. It makes no difference because it's the programs that we're dealing with. Yeah.
Right. Well, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, great. Thank you. So for me, I have an incredible website where they can get a hold of me. It's www.dr for drspencerpool.com. So Dr. Spencer Pool, and the pool is POOL.com. Or they can jump into my Facebook group. I've got an incredible Facebook group that's called How to Get Off Your Ass and Take Action. It's a little bit maybe rude, but at the same time, a lot of us can relate to this, that, we spend time just stuck, right? We feel paralyzed. We can't take action. We know we should be taking action. We know, but even through COVID, right? A lot of people would have been at home during COVID, but not taking action, right? They would have been watching Netflix or the next series, and they know they should be doing something, but they're not doing it. Why aren't they doing it? Well, they're not doing it because they're not programmed to do it.
Exactly.
And so the group is all about helping people to reprogram themselves to take action. So I'm going to give you, if you could share with them the link to my Facebook group, that would be phenomenal. And then they can get hold of me via my website as well. And then the last way that they can get hold of me is just on Facebook. Just find Spencer Pool. That's me. You'll know me when you see me. Send me a message or, a direct message or anything. And I'd love to help you guys, whether you have a business or you just, you're an individual business, or if you have a team of people, you want better results, or if you're just a person who is sick and tired of, being sick and tired, you want to do something different. You don't want to do what you're doing anymore, or you want to do what you're doing, but you want to get better results. For me, it's results. We are results specialists. We generate results, and that's what we do.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I wish we had more time because this is so interesting, so educational, but thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. I really appreciate that you gave me this time.
It's an absolute pleasure, Lydia. And, you know, it's great to share this stuff because the people who see this now, they're aware of a stick person, learn about this stuff. This stuff is incredibly important. And if you don't know it, it's going to be tough to change results. But if you know it, your results really are going to change.
Exactly.
And it's so nice when your results change because then you get to do what you want.
That's right. Well, thank you so
Lydia.
much.
It's an
really
absolute pleasure. Take care. All the best, guys.